Let me tell you about the easiest money I ever watched a dealership make. A guy bought a car, shook hands, signed everything, drove off thrilled, and he never once realized that the dealer had quietly bumped his interest rate up by 2 points and pocketed the difference, more than $2,000 for doing absolutely nothing. The car was the same, the bank was the same. The only thing that changed was a number on a screen that he never thought to question. I spent 18 years in the car business, and I'll tell you straight, a lot of dealerships make more profit on the financing than they do on the actual vehicle. Today, I'm going to show you the single move that takes that whole game off the table, getting pre-approved before you ever walk onto the lot. It costs you nothing. It takes about 20 minutes, and it flips the entire balance of power in that showroom. Before we dig in, do me a quick favor. Hit subscribe and share this with anyone you know who's about to buy a car, because this is the tip that quietly saves people the most money. And drop a comment telling me, have you ever financed a car through the dealer without checking a bank first? Be honest. Let's get into it. Let's start with what this even is, because the word gets thrown around loosely. Getting pre-approved means you go to a bank, a credit union, or an online lender first before you fall in love with anything on a lot, and they look at your credit and your income and tell you in writing, we'll lend you up to this much at this interest rate. That's it. You're not committing to buy anything, and you're not stuck with that lender. What you're holding is essentially a promise, a real rate from a real institution, locked in, that you can carry into any dealership in town. Think of it as walking in with a checkbook instead of a wish. Instead of sitting across that finance desk hoping they'll be kind to you, you already know your number. And that quiet confidence changes absolutely everything about how the conversation goes. Here's the part the industry would rather you didn't know, and it has a name: dealer reserve, sometimes called the rate markup. When you finance through the dealership, they send your application to a bank. The bank comes back and says, we'll take this customer at, say, 6%. That's your real rate in what you actually qualified for. But the dealer doesn't have to tell you 6. They're allowed to add a markup on top, bump it to 8, and the dealer pockets the difference over the life of the loan. I watched this happen for years from the inside, and the wild part is it was never framed as a markup. On the screen, it just looked like the rate, like it fell from the sky. 2 points on a $30,000 loan can be over $2,000 of pure profit, money you'd never know you paid, because it's buried in a monthly payment that felt about right. Now you understand why. The second you mention paying cash or bringing your own loan, the energy in the room shifts. The dealer wants to be your lender, badly, because that financing office is one of the most profitable corners of the whole building. They'll make it sound like a favor. Let us run it. We work with 40 banks. We'll beat whatever you've got. And here's the honest truth. Sometimes they actually can beat your rate, especially with manufacturer promotional offers. But you can only know that if you walked in with a real number to compare against. Without your own pre-approval, we'll beat your rate is meaningless because you have no rate. You're just trusting them to tell you what you qualify for, which is a little like letting the other team keep score in a game where they profit from the final tally. Quick but important distinction, because the words get muddy and the difference matters. Pre-qualified is a soft look. You punch in a few numbers, they do a gentle credit peek, and they say you'll probably get something around here. It's an estimate, a weather forecast, not a promise. Pre-approved is the real thing, a hard look at your full picture, and an actual committed offer with a real rate and a real dollar amount. When you're shopping, what gives you power is the pre-approval, the firm offer you can wave around. The pre-qualification is fine for window shopping your odds, but don't confuse it with leverage. Pro tip: when you call a lender, ask flat out, is this a firm pre-approval or just a pre-qualification? The answer tells you exactly how much weight it carries when you sit down to deal. So where do you actually go for this? You've got 3 good lanes, and I'd hit at least 2 of them. First, your own bank, the one that already has your checking account. Loyalty sometimes earns you a slightly better rate. Second, and this is the one people sleep on, a credit union. Credit unions are member-owned nonprofits, and their auto loan rates are very often the lowest in town, sometimes by a full point or 2. If you're not a member of one, many let you join for 10 or 20 bucks, and that small step can pay for itself many times over. Third, the online auto lenders, places that let you apply in a few minutes and give you a real offer fast. Get 2 or 3 offers, not just one, because lenders genuinely differ, and the only way to know who's cheapest is to make them compete. That competition, by the way, is exactly what the dealer is hoping you skip. This is the worry that stops a lot of people. So let me put it to rest. Yes, a pre-approval involves a hard credit inquiry, and yes, a single hard inquiry can ding your score by a handful of points temporarily. But here's the rule almost nobody knows. The credit scoring systems are built to encourage shopping for a car loan. If you gather all your auto loan inquiries inside a short window, usually about 14 days, sometimes up to 45, they get bundled and counted as one single inquiry, not five. The system literally rewards you for comparison shopping. So don't let a fear of a 5-point temporary dip talk you out of a move that can save you a couple thousand real dollars. That's trading a dollar to avoid losing 1,000. Just do your applications close together and you're protected. Now a warning, because there's a sneaky way a great sounding rate can still cost you. When you compare offers, don't just stare at the interest rate. Look hard at the loan term, the number of months. A dealer can wave a tiny rate at you, but stretch it over 84 or even 96 months, and you end up paying more in total interest while drowning in negative equity for years. Quick example, $30,000 at 6% over 60 months versus the same loan over 84 months might shave $80 off the monthly payment, but it adds well over $1,000 in interest and keeps you upside down far longer. So when you've got your pre-approval in hand, you're not just comparing rates, you're comparing the total amount you'll pay by the end. Pull the real number, the all-in cost, and compare apples to apples. That single habit separates the people who get a deal from the people who just got a payment. Here's where all this pays off. And it's beautiful to watch. When you've got a pre-approval in your pocket, you walk in and you negotiate one thing, the price of the car, not the payment, not the trade, not the financing, just the out-the-door price of the vehicle. Clean and simple. To the dealership, you're effectively a cash buyer because your money is already arranged. They don't get to hide their profit inside a fuzzy monthly number. From the inside, I'll tell you, the customer who said, "I've got my own financing, let's just talk price," was the hardest one to make extra money on. And we knew it the second they said it. All that payment fog, the "what do you want to be at per month" dance, it just evaporates. You've taken away their favorite tool and replaced it with a flashlight. Now here's the twist that surprises people. Once you've got your pre-approval, you should still let the dealer take a swing at it. I'm serious. Walk in, settle the price of the car first, and only then say, "I'm financing through my credit union at 6%. If you can beat that, I'm listening." Sometimes they genuinely can, especially when the manufacturer is running a subsidized promotional rate to move inventory, and that's a real win for you. You let them compete, and you took the better deal. The difference is, everything's happening on your terms now. You're not hoping they're honest, you're holding the bar they have to clear. Your pre-approval isn't a wall, it's a measuring stick. Make them earn the loan, and if they can't beat your number, you smile and use the one you already had. Let me warn you about one of the slipperiest tricks out there because pre-approval is your shield against it. It's called spot delivery, or sometimes a yo-yo deal. The dealer lets you drive the car home before your financing is actually finalized, you're celebrating, and then a few days later, you get the call. "Hey, the bank didn't approve that rate after all. You need to come back and re-sign at a higher one?" By then, you're emotionally attached, the car's in your driveway, your old car might already be gone, and they're counting on you just caving. I saw this play out more times than I'd like to admit. When you bring your own locked-in loan, this trick simply can't touch you. Your financing is already done, in writing, before you ever drove off. You're immune to a pressure play that costs other people thousands. One subtle thing that trips up good people: the number on your pre-approval is a ceiling, not a goal. If a lender approves you for $35,000, that does not mean you should go spend $35,000. That's the most house, so to speak, the bank will let you buy. It says nothing about what's smart for your actual life. Walk in with your own target price in mind, the out-the-door number you're comfortable with, and treat the approval cap as a fence you stay well inside of. Dealers love an eager buyer with a big approval because there's room to load it up with add-ons and still fit the budget. Don't hand them that room. Know your real number, separate from the maximum the bank blessed, and let the approval be a tool, never a temptation. Let's make this practical so you can actually do it this week. To get pre-approved, lenders generally want a few simple things: a valid ID, recent pay stubs, or proof of income, and sometimes proof of where you live, like a utility bill. Most of it you can upload from your couch in one sitting, and know that a pre-approval doesn't last forever. It's typically good for around 30 to 60 days because lenders want a reasonably current snapshot of your finances. So the move is to get pre-approved when you're genuinely close to buying, not 6 months out. Line it up a week or two before you plan to seriously shop, gather your 2 or 3 offers in that tight window we talked about, and walk in while they're all fresh. A little timing makes the whole thing effortless. I want to circle back and put a spotlight on credit unions because honestly, if you take one specific action from this whole video, make it this one. Banks answer to shareholders, credit unions answer to their members, which is to say, to you. That structural difference is exactly why their auto loan rates are so often the lowest you'll find anywhere, sometimes startlingly so. I've seen people walk into a dealership with a credit union pre-approval and watch the finance manager quietly give up on the rate game entirely because there was just no beating it. If you've never belonged to one, joining is usually painless. A small deposit, a quick application, and the rate you lock in can save you more than that membership costs 100 times over. It's the single most underused move in car buying, and now it's yours. So let's tie the whole thing into one clean game plan you can actually run. A week or two before you shop, get pre-approved at 2 or 3 lenders with a credit union absolutely in the mix, all inside that 14-day window so your credit barely notices. Walk into the dealership and negotiate only the price of the car, clean and simple, like the cash buyer you basically are. Once that price is locked, hand them your rate and let them try to beat it. And take the better deal, whoever wins. Stay inside your own real budget, not the approval ceiling, and you've made yourself completely immune to the rate markup, the payment fog, and the spot delivery trap all at once. That's it, 20 minutes of paperwork up front, and you've quietly taken the dealer's biggest profit center off the table before you ever shook a hand. Here's the bottom line. The dealership's financing office is built to make money on your loan, and the one move that disarms it completely is walking in pre-approved. Get your own rate first from a couple of lenders, including a credit union. Negotiate the car's price by itself, and then let the dealer try to beat your number on your terms with your flashlight, not their fog machine. Do that, and you've protected yourself from the rate markup and the yo-yo trap in a single simple step that costs you nothing but 20 minutes. If this saved you money or just opened your eyes, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and share this with anyone you know about to buy a car, because the financing trap catches almost everybody who doesn't see it coming. And drop me a comment. What's the best loan rate you've ever gotten and where'd you get it? Let's help each other out down there. I'll see you in the next one.